everyone, and welcome everyone to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is your weekly live tournament rundown show where we go over the biggest and best tournaments for Warhammer 40,000 all around the world. You might have missed us last week, but we are back this week ready to run down some of the events that happened last week and cast our eye to the future. Hope everyone is doing all right. My name is Paul, your host. I'm joined by Dustin Henshaw and Adam Camilleri.
Oh, g'day.
How are y'all doing?
Yeah, they could have gotten as much of us as they felt like, but oh my god, the LVO recovery is real. Yeah, I'm rough. I'm still rough.
Speaking of LVO, I want to say, Dorian, see you in chat. Got to meet you in person at the LVO. That was absolutely awesome. Thanks for coming by and saying hello and hanging out just a little bit. And well, welcome to the chat. KR, good to see you. And anybody else that's in there in the chat right now, welcome. Like I said, we do this live. We have an amazing chat community. If you're listening to us after the fact, know that you can come in 9 p.m. Eastern time, watch us live and hang out with these fine folks and chat along with us. Talk about how like the events that are coming up, what you might predict as well. But let's go ahead and jump into it. We are going to be talking about the Las Vegas Open from last week. Over 1,000 players, almost 1,100 players rolling dice on day one for a 10-round, 9 rounds of regulation play, but there was a shadow round.
The largest, as far as we know, as far as like modern record keeping goes, this is the largest event that has ever occurred. This is the first ever 4-figure Warhammer 40k event.
Like modern record keeping, like there were like tournaments that were larger than this that we just do. It was pretty historical.
Some people didn't get right down on pen and paper. Okay, you just got to do what you got to do.
when people would write the pairings on stone tablets and stick them up in a forum, in the local piazza in the middle of town, and you'd have to scramble to go see what your pairing was that afternoon and check the sundial as your chess clock. Yeah, those days.
You're
thousands of players back then.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was a time when tournaments were like super high attendance. It seemed like at the time, 150, 300 players. And then there was a time when it dipped back down, and now we have eclipsed it. Like this is an amazing time to be playing.
That was all back in the day when you were handing your lists in physical paper form to your opponent before every game.
Yeah. And it was poor form to not have one list per player.
Yes.
Like exactly. If it was a 6-round event and you didn't have 6 lists, dick move.
That's
yellow card.
All true. All true. Let's go ahead and run down the factions. The multitude of players here is going to seem, enormous.
It is quite large. So for the Imperial Super faction, there were 2 Imperial Agents, 16 Sisters of Battle, 66 Custodes, 21 Mad Mech, 54 Astra Militarum, 33 Grey Knights, and 36 Imperial Knights, Space Marines, 92 Adeptus Astartes, 42 Dark Angels, 21 Space Wolves, 50 Blood Angels, 29 Black Templar, and 17 Death Watch. Chaos, there's 45 Chaos Space Marines, 26 T-Suns, 41 Death Guard, 48 World Eaters, 35 Demons, 32 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 78 Necrons, 51 Orcs, 54 Tau, 25 Votan. Highbind, there's 64 Tyranids, 31 Genes to their cult. Actually, a very large outcome of Genes to their cult there. Eldari, there's 19 Drukhari and 38 Eldari. I mean, the faction podium was Adeptus Astartes topping it off with 92, with no real surprise there. Necrons right behind them with 78 again, no surprise. Custodes in third with 66.
That World Championship bounce.
Yeah, for sure. Tyranids right behind them with 64, and then Astra Militarum and Tau Empire were in fifth with 54.
Now there's two big cliffs here.
Yeah.
The first cliff, of course, is Adeptus Astartes stepping down to Necrons with, what's that? Is that 14? Yeah, 14.
Quick math, Adam. Good job. And people say he's still recovering.
And then Tyranid stepping down by 10 to Astra Militarum and Tau Empire in fifth. So there's 2 decent cliffs. Actually, there's another one. Sorry, Necrons is 12 ahead of Custodes and Tyranids. But we almost got the first 3-figure faction representation as well. If 8 more people played Adeptus Astartes, that would have been the very first time in history, like a faction had 100 players in attendance. And despite that,
technically, a lot of Space Marines there.
There's a couple.
absurd amount of Space Marines.
And some of those Blood Angels are kind of Blood Angels in name only. So I'm willing to bet with that there.
I know
I'm
exactly what you're
bet,
talking
like,
about, too.
I'm going to go ahead and give you that. You wanted the 100?
Legit.
You got the
Legit.
100.
That's where I was going with that.
That's
I was
fair.
going with
Okay.
that as in, like, there pretty much was 10% of the 1,000 players. If you boiled it down to the amount of Adeptus Astartes that had +1 to wound on their Oath of Moment, it was about 10%. It was damn 1,000 players and 10% +1 to wound Oath of Moment. It's kind of insane. And you'll see it when we get to the faction podium, of course, as well, and the top 10. Astartes kind of, this is probably the second most dominant ITC season and LVO that Astartes has ever had. The only one where they were more dominant was the end of 8th edition, second Space Marine Codex one, where only Iron Hands and Raven Guard could contend the ITC that year because of what happened there. This is like not as bad as that, but still, power armor was reigning absolutely supreme at this event. Custodes. So it was really, really strong representation. And Necron's really strong representation there as well. And Tyranids also. Paul and I made some predictions. We actually recorded a 20-ish minute Meta Chasers episode exclusively for the G-Dub preview and the Games Workshop screen.
It could never be
like
the Meta Chasers.
No, it's not the real thing. We were chasing the meta, but we weren't the Meta Chasers. That is correct. We had some hot takes and some predictions. And this was all recorded before the event took place. I predicted two things. I predicted Orcs could and would do very well, and I predicted that they would make the top 8. And I also predicted that Necrons would not do very well at this event, and they would actually, end up being kind of a mid-table bully in this meta. But Paul, what were your predictions?
Blood Angels. I thought Blood Angels was going to do really, really well.
Shocked.
I mean, no, I know, right? I know that it's a shock. It's not just a meme pick. Like there was a lot of really good. Oh, and we actually got it. We're getting called out in the chat right now. I gotta talk about.
Oh, we got to stop
in a second. But I do want to say that the Angels, I think, were really positioned to do extremely well with great players that were there, and they did. They made a really good run, like got super deep into the semifinals, quarterfinals, and right before the knockout rounds. But chat, okay, Nurgle Matt calling us out says, "What happened? We never looked back." Well, we didn't actually do this show. So this is the show that I did. We got to talk about the biggest and one of the defining tournaments of the year for sure. And that's so it's just a slight look back. Thank you for indulging us. Scary jumped in the chat. Amazing run at the LVO. I'm sure we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Just got to tune into every podcast now to see everybody talking about you. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. I do it too.
So I would say that Scary and Scary's run is probably the second best narrative and story coming out of the LVO. The only one that's better is Mark Hurdle, the gentleman who won, and the story behind the faction he played with and his proficiency and faction specialization with it. But man, Scary went through a murderer's road, all their scalps, and came 5th or 6th, like with Drukhari, one of the worst statistical factions in the game right now. Like absolutely legendary stuff.
Single-handedly just getting that Void Raven Bombers points up.
Yeah, here he goes again. 250 now.
Well, when like 20% of the armies in attendance are like Astartes or Astartes sub-factions, that Void Raven Bomber is like S tier gold, meta gold, baby.
That's part of what we talk about, picking the meta for real. Oh, and if I didn't give a shout out, hey Steve, good to see you as well. Folks getting into the chat. Welcome. About to kick off this new year, new season.
Well, let's go into a couple of the spicy things that we have done for this recap and look back. We have broken down the top 10 factions, the factions that ended up in the top 10. Dustin, what are they?
Is there a slide for it, or am I just reading it off?
Just reading off the page. Actually, there should be a slide for it.
As if you just know it. You saw it.
Oh, sorry. I don't need to read anything. I just know it. Yes, I'm not reading anything at all.
There's a slide. What are you talking about?
There is?
Yeah.
I didn't know because I don't want to click it and then
I'm gonna take 1 week off.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it.
It said "Hi, Mum" on it.
Oh, what the heck? Okay. Anyway, this is the top 10 faction breakdown for the LVO was Deathwatch, obviously. 2 Astartes, 1 Blood Angel, which again, was it Blood Angels?
This one was. This one
was it?
Yeah. This one had Dante, and
Sangor.
Okay. That's fair.
And Sanguinarians.
Yeah.
1 G They're called 1 Drukhari, 1 Chaos Space Marine, 1 Death Guard, and 1,000 Sun. That is a nice spread of top 10, putting aside the variations of Space Marines. But
what's wild is that apart from the GSC and the Drukhari, it's entirely power armor. Everything in there is power armor, apart from 2. Well done to T-Suns. They're looking like they're a bit on the weaker side of things post their nerfs about 3 months ago. But still, that player being TJ, that's pretty much all he played all season. So we have faction specialists in so many of these slots.
Which is
The
awesome.
Gene Steel Cole player, that's all he plays. The Drakai player, Skari, that's all he plays. The Death Guard player, Don Huson, that's all he plays. Mark Hurdle, that's all he plays. TJ, Thousand Suns, that's all he plays. Legitimately, 5 of this top 10 are players playing factions we would not have thought could make the top 10, but did so because of the player strength. And I think that's one of the biggest talking points of this LVO.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into an environment that was, somewhat established, like they knew what they were going to expect. And even though we'll talk about the Necrons here in a minute, like everyone thought that detachment was going to, well, I should say not everyone. Mr. Camilleri did not think that way, but a lot of people thought that was going to be the detachment to watch and that you were going to face. And so people, I think, teched into it a little bit, or at least planned for it. It got reps into it, and then it didn't make it past like round 5, I think, undefeated.
So the one that when I look at a meta that's as diverse as this, and this is something that I learned from studying so many WTCs and how a lot of national teams work, they'll find the thing that everyone thinks is the strongest, but has counterplay, and then annihilate it. And they'll focus in on 1 or 2 of those lists in the meta, and they'll make sure that they have ice, solid rock gameplay into it, and then worry about the rest later, like when they come across the table of it. I was of the opinion that the vast majority of Astartes variants had extremely good play into Star Shatter, Shatterstar, whichever. Gene Steel Cults and Tyranids both had extremely good play into it. Orcs had extremely good play into it. And then just a bunch of other ones had okay games into it. Like I played against the second-ranked ITC player in Australia, playing just like vanilla Imperial Knights, and lost by 10 points to Star Shatter, playing my first game into it because I understood the matchup and I'd studied the matchup. I'd never played it before. I still only lost by 10 points. And gosh, diggity darn it, I reckon I could beat him next time. I'm really annoyed. But anyway, yeah, that's just what some of the crazy talking points about this one, because this isn't a story we can say from LVO many other years. Usually there is a think tank, a list think tank that takes place in a basement somewhere, in a trap house somewhere, that cooks up the strongest possible list in the game. And that list completely runs roughshod over everybody LVO. And it usually, it's an Art of War, it's a Beast Coast, it's a Team Zero comp. It's one of these clubs, they get together, they think tank the way to destroy and annihilate the LVO meta. And then 4 or 5 of them take the same list and they go and do it. And that's been the story from like so many LVOs past. And this is the first one I've seen where faction diversity is excellent, list diversity is excellent, and faction expertise and mastery counts for more than list tech and just picking at the biggest, best thing.
Yep. Exactly. Skari and I said it on the Stutter Script podcast yesterday. It is a golden age of Warhammer right now. It is absolutely,
it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Brewer's paradise. Knowing the rules, knowing your stuff, you can kind of go into the deep and figure out something to do, and that's what these players did. And I don't know, where are we? Can we talk about the undefeated list yet? I mean,
one more thing we're going to do before we go into the top 3 faction breakdown, top 3 list breakdown. I pulled out some faction.
I got excited.
Facts. Some facts on factions.
Excited. Oh,
so hit the next transition.
So there is a
this
slide?
is a great stat. Yeah. So these stats here are actually pretty good.
Facts.
This is some
facts.
Facts. This is some information on some of what people thought were going to be like dominant list.
Yeah.
And how far they went into the tournament before they start suffering losses.
Yeah, so these are some of the factions and archetypes that people predicted were going to do very well here, and these are just the ones that I thought I was really interested in seeing where the top player in said faction came. So for Star Shatter Necrons, who was touted as one of the strongest, most to be feared in the game, their top player came 28th. Now, I'm not going to say if you came in the top 100 out of 1,000 players, I think you did pretty dang well. And most likely you went 5-1 or 4-2 if you came in the top 100. But their top player came in 28th with a 5-1 record. And yeah, I think to your point, they lost in round 5, Paul. So good memory there. Astra Militarum, their top player came 20th, which was Ben Jurek, if I remember correctly, went 5-1. Orcs, top player came 31st, once again 5-1. Custodes, 41st. 5-1 was not to our surprise, because Folger, I think, took a loss in round 3. Was not Folger. There's a gentleman who went 1 or 2 rounds deeper in than he did, but he still went 5-1. That's Folger Piles, who won Worlds. Tyranids came in 16th. They made the top cut. So Tyranids did make the top 16, made it into the shadow round, and they went 5-1-1. And then both Demons and Tau went undefeated but missed out on the top cuts. They went 6-0 but missed out on the attendance in the shadow round, which is very surprising. Tau had extremely good numbers, and Demons was very highly touted as something that could go extremely deep. The gentleman who did come in 17th was the top ranked Demon player in the world at the time, and of course he was running the Slanesh Legion of Excess. So those are just some faction performance stats for your knowledge.
I love it. We got to remember too, like 5-1 at LVO. Like that's you only lost 1 out of 6 games.
So players are there at this event for competing not just for the top spot. They are competing for their best in faction. So they're incentivized to want to win. Like it's not people are not coming just to come. They are coming to try to get as deep as they can.
It's not going to be a money run for anybody. And again, we're talking about these lists that are feared and like with the Star Shadow, like you're talking about. It was one of the touted as one of the strongest ones people are going to be afraid of. But correct. If it has one bad matchup in a faction that is well represented at LVO, 5-1, still an amazing performance. But if you hit that one bad matchup, it's a lot harder for you.
It was also amazing to see how many Astra Militarum players, like strong Astra Militarum players, ended up in mirror matches and knocking each other out. It was like it happened like 2 or 3 times towards the top end of the event. It was actually quite hilarious.
I think KR mentioned that too in the chat. That's a good spot.
All right, into the top 3 placings, and I'm sure you guys have seen this and disseminated this. So we're going to break down Mark Hurdle's list in detail, and then we'll probably skim over the other of the top 3. But this is Mark Hurdle's Deathwatch Black Spear Task Force, the only player to go undefeated, 10-0. Starts off with a Gravis Captain with Tome of the Ectoclades, which means once per game you get 2 Oaths of Moment. It's extremely good.
Used to extreme effect.
Yeah, really, really well. Next, he's got a Judicia with Thief of Secrets, which is +1 strength, AP, and damage. And then if he kills anything ever, that goes to +2. Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, Watchmaster, 10-5-5 Deathwatch Veterans, each one with an accoutrement of shooting and heavy Thunderhammers. 2 Rhinos, 2x5 Deathwatch Terminators, each with 3 Cyclone Missile Launchers. 10 Indomitor Kill Team with a couple of Eradicators, a couple of Aggressors in there, and then a 10 Talonstrike Kill Team with 5...
It's kind of ridiculous that unit just gets 1 line on this.
Yeah, correct.
That's true.
Yeah. Well,
actually, crazy unit.
Funny enough, I did type out how many of each thing was in each one, and then I deleted it because it was too wordy. 10 Talonstrike Kill Team with, of course, 5 Inceptors with the 5 Jump Pack Intercessors, and then a Storm Speeder Thunder Strike. Now, we were privileged enough to watch and stream 3 of his games over on the GW VOD, so if you want to go check those back, by all means, go check them out because we get to really, really look at how this list plays and how it unpacks. And suffice to say, people could have, at the event, could have gone and watched how this played, and no one was able to stop him doing the same thing to everybody all the way through the event. It was like, turn 1, I'm going to put up a unit or 2, make you expose some stuff, and then turn 2, 1,600 points of my army is going to either come from reserve or the back of my board edge and be in your face. What can you do to stop me? Turns out no one could do diddly squat to stop him. Except, I would say Jack Harpster got the closest. And him and Jack had a grindy, like mealy matchup in the middle of the table for like
great
every
plays
turn.
on both sides, and also like blocking and tackling and maneuvering and things of using all the special rules to do some good zoning and screening. A lot of play in that middle.
If you wanted to go and see the one where I think Mark had to try the hardest, I'd go check out that one to see where he kind of got stressed out. Well, his army was stretched more than it was in kind of the other 2 games where he kind of went first, held board space, and then dumped his entire army on his opponent and kind of overwhelmed them. But this is what this list does. It kind of, Dustin's either going to cringe or nod. It's the next thing I say. It kind of acts like early 9th edition GSC, where it goes from here's both. A couple of little bits and pieces, and I'm going to get some points, and then turn to we actually start the game, and you're going to have to deal with so much stuff in your face.
Yep, I'm going to do both. I'm going to cringe and nod.
Yep, it's a fantastic build. What are your thoughts on the list, gentlemen? Anything that jumps out to you?
I mean, can't really criticize it, right? That's for sure. It's well built with how many big units it has, and the fact that, like you said, it could just give you little pieces at the beginning, going first or second, doesn't matter, and be in your face. Like if going first, they can put so much pressure on on the opponent's army, there is not much that can actually clear it in time before it just dies in return.
So I
looking at this list though, I like it's so easy to discount it. Like Death Watch, whatever.
Yeah.
Speeder, Stormstrike Speeder, who takes those? Like next, and then when you start to see it weave through each other, and then what it can do on the table, and it's like two O's, weird, okay, and and then as you're picking up your models and realizing you're out of space.
Well, it's funny actually because the Death Watch hasn't been around for too long. I'm sure a lot of people didn't get a lot of reps in it, so that obviously plays a little bit of a factor too. How many of the players that played against it, if you ask them now, like if you played the exact same matchup again, do you think you have a better chance of winning? Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like absolutely.
I mean, I had some words with Jack Harpster as he was walking away from his game, and he's like, "Man, I don't know where I messed up there, but I do not think I could lose in the same manner again to this list."
I'm glad you said that, lose in the same manner, because it was still played well, and I feel like that with the degree of excellence we saw it played, that Mark could adapt to other maneuvers, but no one was like he got to do wash, rinse, repeat his same thing over and over again.
The biggest thing that Mark did that I saw that people could have probably played to deny him was people kept letting him have premium overwatches against them. Like he would just a windmill slam Overwatch every single turn. I'm not sure that is something that people really quantified in their head, that he's going to try and Overwatch you every damn turn. And it worked pretty much more times than not. He Overwatched and got a premium target. And that's what ended up breaking Jack's back.
Too. He would oath to tempt, out things.
Yeah.
And...
He would oath to deter. He would oath defensively. Because so many times, like your Indomitor kill team or your Talon Strike kill team or the Unit 10 Deathwatch vets don't need oath to kill damn near everything they're charging, bar like a Canis Rex. And so he would use oath to be like a deterrent for his opponent. Be like, well, I'm going to oath the thing you need to try and use next turn to dig me out. And then I'm going to Overwatch you with sustain 2 from the Talon Strikes or whatnot, or the Indomitor kill team with the Eradicators and stuff like that, and just put you in the dirt, like almost a second shooting activation from one of these big premium squads. And that really caught people off guard. So that was the thing that when I reviewed like what could people do better into this list, is to not let him have premium Overwatches, because he was wrecking people with Overwatch, and it was amazing to see.
It's a second shooting phase. Like it's devastating.
When you got oath and sustain hits, it truly is a second shooting phase. Yeah.
But I want to point out that infiltrators seem to not be taken quite as much in this particular like 1,000 list.
Yeah.
There were fewer infiltrators, which with the 12-inch exclusion that I saw. And I bet if they thought this list was out there played this way, you'd see some more 12-inch exclusions.
Well, I've told all my mates who play Marines in Australia going to Uprising, I've told all of them to get infiltrators into their list ASAP. And I was more telling them to do it because of Scions. It's raining men on you, 45 Scions, deep strike and table you. Funnily enough, I think that's actually a decent matchup into this. If I had to pick a faction that I want to go back and see if Mark played against Astra Militarum, because I feel like the Bridgehead and other lists like that have the ability to frontboard screen out his drop zones and then aggressively drop on him. Because one thing that this list doesn't have, and this speaks to Mark's absolute proficiency with this and the way he's able to take a list with no fat on the bone. It's all just lethal. Every unit is good because he has no scouts, he has no chaff, he has nothing that he needs to screen. He's acting as if he does not care. I'm going to drop on you, and I'm going to play in a manner where I am the aggressor. What I would love to see is how this list does if it's put in a position where you don't get to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that just speaks to how good Mark is. He never got put in that position.
And before we jump to the next folks that maybe didn't do as well, I just want to point out he seemed like a nice guy. Like
I love the man.
Seemed to be well respected in the community. So I'd love to see this success and then just list design and getting to play a faction that you love. And it's really cool to see.
All right, jumping into Ben Neal, who came second, played on the top table reverse Mark. He's got his Adeptus Astartes, Ultramarines, Variety, Vanguard, Spearhead. He has a captain with Jump Pack, who has the lone operative enhancement. Marnius Calgar and Uriel Ventress, and then a lieutenant with combi weapon with Shadow War Veterans. That's the Vectora, which, funnily enough, because Ventress now has that too, he has 2 auras, 2 Calidus auras, so to speak, which I think is quite powerful, especially in the melee matchups. He has a single Impulsor, 6 Devastation Centurions, of course, 2x4 Company Heroes, one of which joins Calgar, one of which joins Ventress, 2x3 Eradicators, 6 3/3 Inceptors, 5 Infiltrators, and 5 Scouts, and that is it.
There's the Infiltrators you were talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the only lists in the top portion that we saw take him. I think Jack took him as well. Let me just quickly have a look. See.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, Jack took him as well. Yeah. Hey, well, that's why they did
There
so
you
well,
go,
right?
top
That's,
eight.
that's it.
10
Top eight.
infiltrators, the
Top
top
eight.
eight.
There's
10
something to
infiltrators,
say
all
about
tournament.
that, right?
But this list kind of hasn't changed. This list hasn't changed in like a year. Essentially, the only thing that's changed is it's company heroes instead of aggressors, and like 3 to 6 less inceptors because of the points adjustments. Outside that, this list has stayed pretty much exactly the same since John Lennon came second with it at WCW last year. Apart from that, this list is just kind of the beans have changed. Like
The 2x4 company heroes I think is interesting because it's a great unit, and I don't know a lot of people running 2 units. And then the 2 units of eradicators are pretty good, but you have seen them fall out of favor. I wonder what the eradicators were in response to going into this.
Star Shatter?
Yeah, their response to Star Shadow, I believe at least. And they're here for light transport, so they're here for
Silent
people's
Kings
rhinos,
and
Rhinos.
Rhinos.
Sagittars, stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
Silent Kings, Sagittars, same things. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Potato.
Yeah, so they're here to pinch hit and assist you in killing the Silent King, but also to be there to threaten stuff like people just playing mechanized nonsense, chimeras, etc. But yeah, extremely good list. Enough said. Everyone kind of knows what this list does. It's a pretty stable archetype.
The Inceptors gives you interesting things. The Scouts give you some interesting things. The Infiltrators, of course, we talked about the utility of those. There's a lot of utility in this list in addition to Ventress doing with the special ability that Uriel does. Yeah. So there's a lot of tricks in this list. Very good. And obviously played to perfection by Ben. And came just short, of the whole
went 9-0 and then played Mark in the final. All right, but let's go to Jack Harpster, who's playing his Angelic Inheritors Blood Angels list. 2 captains with a jump axe, Sanguinor, Dante, and the Librarian. Lieutenant of Combat Weapon again. All 3 of these lists have Lieutenant of Combat Weapon. 5 intercessors. 5.
I came home immediately and made sure that I had a Lieutenant Combat Weapon.
Yep. 5 Devastators with las cannons, a unit of 6 and a unit of 3 Inceptors, 5 Infiltrators, 3x3 Sanguinary Guard, and 2 Vindies. This is a very, very exciting list. In fact, I picked Blood Angels to win the LVO because of Jack Harpster's list and Inez Wilson's list. Because while Inez Wilson's was technically Blood Angels, between the 2 of them, I thought they had completely different styles. I thought one of them would get the better run and go all the way. Jack almost did it, came in 3rd, played in round 9 versus Mark, gave Mark his hardest game.
And lost to the winner. I mean, what else can you say, right?
Well, no, he lost to an Overwatch, essentially. he had a captain. He had a captain with jump
lost
back
to the tactics devised by the one that won this thing.
Yeah, so in turn 4, top of turn 4, Jack pulls no prisoners and area denial, I believe. The only thing that's in the middle of the table that could score area denial is a jump pack captain. That jump pack captain needs to kill 2 units, can kill both those units, scoring 4 points on no prisoners and 5 on area denial, putting him kind of 3 points or 4 points in the lead, and then passing the buck back to Mark to kind of dig out of it. And then Mark's just like, I'm going to overwatch you with this unit of Terminators, and just smash it, just kills the jump pack captain. And then Jack has no ability to score any of his secondaries, and he just has to concede on the spot. He's like, the game's over. I can't win. And that's just how crazy wild, some of the things that Mark was doing was. But what do you make of this list, boys? Because me and Paul, we unpacked this quite extensively on the show, especially the things like the Devastators, the 3x3 Sangard. Each one of them gets a premium character as well. And then, this list is just really exciting to me. This is not a brand new archetype for Blood Angels, but a brand new way of playing a bunch of these units.
It's the Grotmus detachment. So it's the detachment that is brand new with some tricks. And it does like little column A, little column B things from a different ones.
Yeah.
Justin,
for shooting. But I mean, I am starting to love. I'm seeing this on a couple different lists now. I am loving these min squads of, like, in this case, the Sanguinary Guard with premium characters attached to them. I love these squads. I've seen them even like Necron lists. We have the Scorpec Lords with 3 Scorpecs. It's cheap on points, and they will do exactly what you need them to do, and they do not cost nearly as much. It's not overkill on them. You're not losing too much when you lose them. You're seeing them with a lot of Space Marines will do it with, like, their captains and, like, the 5-man jump pack. They're incredible. They're so valuable. Not even it's an elite army with an MSU feel, which is exactly what armies like Blood Angels need to be right now.
I guess the only thing in hindsight, if I was to play the list, I'd go with one less unit of Sangard and try and get 2x5 jump back intercessors with captains instead, just to have a lesser value thing to go and trade. So if you're caught like playing on a dense table where you can't get line of sight, you hate sending out 3 Sangard and a captain.
For anybody that can't see us visually right now, Paul is shaking his head harder than anybody could ever shake their head to that statement. So.
He's doing the exercise. He's doing the exercise. His head was just spinning completely around.
Look, it is hard. Look, you can't argue with success, right? But Lamartie's and Death Company go a long, long way. A lot of the times, and do something similar to the jump back intercessors, and then give you another stout character.
So because me and you were talking about how kind of good and bad 3-wound Astartes are in the meta at the moment. There's just so much like 3-wound Astartes killing potential out there in the game that you almost better like having more 2-wound idiots than a bunch of really premium 3-wound killing machines.
And the built-in like reroll to charge and -1 damage. There's a bunch of stuff in there that I think.
Albeit for us to criticize Jack freaking Harp,
not doing that.
1,000 player event. It's just the stuff that I would do if I was to play exactly the same list for my taste.
There are some novel things. By the way. Yeah, there's some
Devastators was so cute.
The Devastators with last cannons, you don't see that anywhere anymore. So obviously serves a purpose, gives a little bit of reach out and touch somebody. The 2 Vindicators. We've seen many Vindicators and things like Predators into the list, and this is something that this list has a bunch of long range to mid range serious punch that a lot of Blood Angel lists don't have, and so you've got this premium. Probably you can argue more than enough assault and all the rest of the points that you can. I'm not big on taking points away from assault in most instances, but it really works for this list.
Yeah, this list strikes a beautiful balance. The 6 Inceptors, the 2 Vindies, and the Devastators all give you the range brutality. The fact that you can have 5 Devastators that have 4+ feel no 4+ invulnerable save and a lone op 18 sitting at the back of the board, just threatening in firing lanes, sitting in the open, creating a fulcrum that people have to come and address if they're going to live in any of the firing lanes. I just think he's really well thought out by Jack.
The Sanguinar does not really punch into vehicles all that well. He does a lot of stuff. This is a very vehicle-heavy environment. So, obviously, I think Jack is playing for the later rounds and not, and using skill to get through the early rounds. I think some great tech choices. I mean, you can't. I think the Sanguinar is awesome. Like, there's certain times like you really want to be playing with something like that. But I do think that there are several either steering into the meta and then 1 or 2 anti-meta choices that they kind of make up the magic of this list, of course, and also played by a great pilot.
So at this point, we would have come to the place where we, pick some winners if we were doing this ahead of time. Because we're doing this in post, everyone defaults to their meme pick. And so Paul gets a point for coming in third.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's just how it'd be.
Next event we're looking to the future.
And now we're looking to the future.
Nurgle Matt, we're definitely casting our eyes ahead of time to the uprising in Adelaide in South Australia. That is in Australia with 183 players coming up this weekend, 8-round event. Look, I'm just reading what's on here. You obviously thought it was very important for me to mention it.
It's Australia.
Yeah, because we're so imaginative in Australia. Do you know we also have Western Australia? Do you know where that is, guys?
Is it that way?
But is it west from us, or is it because you flipped over? Is it east from us?
Oh, it's backwards.
Well,
maybe it's south.
Now
it's like
you're
completely
just confusing.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, that's for another podcast. 183 players, 8-round event. Dustin, what are we going to see there?
For the Imperial Perfection, we're going to see another 2 Imperial Agents. That seems to be the number of Imperial Agents at the large events. That's okay. 4 Sisters of Battle, 12 Custodes, 7 Admech, 11 Astra Militarum, 6 Grey Knights, and 6 Imperial Knights. Space Marines are 16 Adeptus Astartes, 7 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 5 Blood Angels, 2 Black Templar, and 4 Death Watch. Chaos, there's 7 Chaos Space Marines, 3 T-Suns, 8 Death Guard, and 7 World Eaters, 10 Demons, 5 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 10 Necrons, 12 Orcs, outnumbering the Necrons, wow. 6 Tau and 6 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 9 Tyranids and 5 G's to their cult. Eldari, there's 2 Drakari and 6 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Adeptus Astartes, topping it off again with 16. Custodes and Orcs in second with 12, though. Then Astral Militarum right behind them with 11. Necrons and Demons behind them with 10. And Tyranid is behind them with 9.
Orcs have that
Now,
new
this
detachment.
event
People
is
are real hot
the.
about. Sorry, go ahead. I was saying the Orcs had the great detachment, but
I
go
can't
ahead,
hear
Adam.
Paul.
Oh,
Go. Are you? Adam looks confused.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, he can
we
hear
can hear you.
I can't hear Paul. It's doing that thing
you.
again.
He's doing that thing again. Well, he said he can hear you. I'll translate for you. Go ahead.
Beautiful sign language. This is the capstone. This is the capstone of the Australian ITC season. So this is the end of season for in Australia. So this is our 8-round slobber knocker. Best and brightest coming out for this one. It's going to be really hot. It's going to be stinky hot for this event. Like very, very, very warm. Like topping 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, you
stuff
mean
like that.
actually hot, not like
It's summertime
Yes,
over there.
yes. It's actually a factor at this event where you are playing your 5th and 6th game. You've lost half your water weight in just sweat. And you got to stay hydrated, and you got to think correctly. It's actually part of the mental game of playing at this event. Beautiful spread, beautiful faction spread. No huge delineations. The biggest one in the faction podium is 16 down to 12 from Adeptus Astartes, which doesn't really confuse anybody. 7 factions on the podium is nice as well. I would love to have there been a few more, especially when we're doing the top 5 factions rather than the top 3. But this should be an extremely exciting event. Very strong players from all over Australia, and yeah, it's going to be really cool.
I love it. It looks good. Nice spread. And
I'm going to disconnect and reconnect so I can hear Paul.
okay.
Hopefully that
It's okay. He wasn't saying anything, so okay, bye.
Look, it's an Australian event. Gonna let him just let him shine.
That's fair.
But actually, we can go ahead and jump over
to
one of the lists, and hopefully he gets back here in just a second, because this is Imperial Knights.
I can hear.
Can you hear me?
Almost.
Yes, I can.
Yeah,
it's a
we have the
miracle.
triumvirate. All right, we're good.
The 3 that is 1.
Jordan McGregor's up first. He is the first in the ITC South Pacific playing Imperial Knights, and he has been for quite a couple of months. He has Canis Rex, 5 Armiger Hellrunes, 5 Armiger Warglaves, and 2 Ministorum Priests that hang out in an Impulsor.
I love that. I love that.
Odds and bits and pieces. I love it too.
The emulator, is that what you mean? Like the
I love the 2 Ministorum Priests in the emulator.
Correct. They got their own wagon. They just hanging out.
But you'd have 2, so they have somebody to talk to for most of the game.
Well, what I like about it is that there's a 1 CP stratagem to give +1 strength, +1 AP to shooting attacks of multiple Warglaves. Now, the big downside is that you go to AP2 and you got a 2 up in cover, and they take 3 ups and they don't care. The Immolate is actually big because it ignores cover to the targets. And of course, the Imperial Knights can benefit from that ignores cover because it says that unit doesn't get cover. Not that Ministorum or Sororitas units ignores cover. That unit just see you later, your cover's gone. And so it's actually really big for enabling things like the Hellrunes to feel good, because I've played them a bunch of times now, and there's so many matchups where you just I could have a rock on a base right now and it would do just as much ranged damage as this unit in this matchup. Like you play against Grey Knights and you're like, did my 3 Hellrunes kill a Strike Marine? Maybe not. Maybe freaking not. And it's rough. So this is a very good activator for this army. And Jordan's been doing extremely well with this. He's podiumed or won like everything he's attended in the last couple of months. So
what's next?
Moving on, we have Jason Horn, who's ranked 2nd in the ITC South Pacific. Of course, I did the top 3 players in attendance in the ITC because they are contending for ITC placing here. He has his Shatterstar Arsenal. This is the list I played against at an RTT a couple of weeks ago and lost by 10 points. It's exactly the same thing. He's got Imatech, Silent King, Hexmark Destroyer with the Cronus Impedance Field, which is the -1 damage, a Scorpec Lord, 2x5 Flayed Ones, 3 Ophidian Destroyers, a unit of 6 and a unit of 3 Scorpec Destroyers, 2 single Locust Destroyers, 2 single Heavy Destroyers, a Reanimator, and 3 DDAs. So this is I think the line. This is the line between damage and utility that Shatterstar needs to find, and I think it's been struggling to find for a little bit. 3 DDAs plus a Silent King is all the range damage you need. That's it. Done. I don't always love DDAs. I don't always love Doomsday Arcs because they're casino cannons, and if you're shooting into single model targets, they don't have blast. You can just have no shots or all the shots. But I do like the delineation of utility units. 2x5 5 flayed ones, 3 Ophidians, a small unit of Scorpex, a big unit of Scorpex for people who are going to play aggressive into you is really good to have. Then the 4 single destroyers are fantastic. And then, of course, the Reanimator to give yourself the unkillable Silent King. I'm sure, just tickles all the cockles of your heart. You're so happy to play against an unkillable Silent King. Yay!
Oh, it's great.
The Hexmark Destroyer I've seen in a bunch of lists recently. Is there
just
a reason that's coming off the shelf?
It's just the cheapest thing in the army you can slap an enhancement on, essentially.
Okay. And it's a loadout too, so you can have it in the open while it
loadout.
gives it out its enhancement around, right? So
yeah, correct. It's literally just the cheapest enhancement caddy you can buy, and so it's making it into a lot of lists. And then of course the Scorpex Lord goes with either the 3 Scorpex or the 6 Scorpex, depending on the matchup. But yeah, really strong list. Jason's going to do very well with it again. But once again, I think I do not see Shatterstar as a list that can win this event. It's like straight up, I'm saying it again. I don't think Necrons can win Uprising. And I'll say, because I said the same thing about LVO. I do not think Necrons could have won LVO. And so yeah, I'm going to hold to that. Jason's going to have a great run, but unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get the gold.
all right,
One more. You can do this one, Dusty.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
This is a great detachment.
It's freaking amazing.
Peter Hackler, the 4th of the ITC South Pacific, bringing Genius to the Cult. Final day of the Grotmus detachment, like the best detachment ever. I am so happy we finally have Force of the Hive Mind back. And yes, I'm calling it Force of the Hive Mind every single time. There was somebody that LVO that was playing Final Day and listed their faction as Force of the Hive Mind, and I applaud you, sir. That is exactly what you're playing. I'm glad we can still pick that.
Well, I hate those people.
I know you do. And you're going to hate me because I'm going to do it too.
I got to go in and look at your freaking list. You could have just been GSC. It's a GSC army. It's a GSC detachment.
No, Force of the Hive Mind. We're back.
Shush.
We're back.
Okay. Tell us about the list.
So we actually, because it's GC, they're called Final Day, it means he can have Tyranids in this list, which is incredible. So he has Death Leaper, a Benefictus within human integration, which is the sustained if they're near Tyranid unit. Clabavis, Parasite of Mortrex, a Patriarch with a Rapture Detonation, so no Overwatch for this unit. Reductus Saboteur, 3x5 Acolytes with Hand Flamers, 4x10 Gargoyles. Yes!
Wow, 40 gargoyles.
That's 10 more than I think you need, but I will not say no to more gargoyles. 20 neophytes, obviously with the Benefictus for their sustain and lethals. 10 hybrid metamorphs, 10 5/5 pure strains. The 10 will most likely be with the Patriarch. 3 Ravagers for some free uppy downy, and then 2 1/1 Ridge Runners. The 2 is likely going to have the las cannons, heavy mining lasers, and then 2 mortars to give you extra AP, and probably ignores cover across the board. Love it.
So the units that's jumping out to me here is the metamorphs and the extra 10 gargoyles. They're the 2 things that I don't always see in these lists. Sometimes the metamorphs can be more another unit of 20 neophytes. Sometimes with another Benefictus. Sometimes it is more acolytes. Sometimes it's some other bits and pieces. What are they adding to this list, mate?
The metamorphs are actually a great unit. I prefer them in a Goliath though. There's no truck in here. There was no Goliath list.
No transports.
Yeah,
zero transports.
I like them when they're in the Goliath because then they actually give the Goliath Scout.
Yeah.
And that's big. Because then when they get out of the transport, they're going to have reroll wounds on their flamers as well. So that's huge for them. Without a truck, they're harder to tote around. They don't really get a benefit of their scout a lot of time because they're slow. They only move 6, so you're going to be rapid ingress in them most likely. But you do have uppy downy with your army as well. So I mean, I like the hybrids, but I like them better as 5-mans when you have a 10-man pure strain, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they're really, or at least 1 5-man, because they only cost 2 to research. So you could do it 5 times if you really wanted to. But the amount they have 2 different profiles, one for anti-horde, one that's a little bit better for elite because they do multiple damage.
A little bit better. I like it a little bit better. It's not that much better, actually.
But it's a little bit better. An extra damage, an extra pip of strength, like that could be a difference. But in this, then when you can reroll all your wounds in close combat, I mean that part doesn't really matter, right? I rate them medium. I don't think any list needs them, but they're a good tech piece.
And so this list is actually running compared to what some Final Day lists can do, which is just like, haha, enjoy lone op hell. This list is running pretty low to the ground on lone ops. It's got 3: Death Leaper, Parasite, and Reductus Saboteur.
Yep.
Is the Parasite even lone op?
Yep, Parasite is lone op.
It is, yeah.
Parasite is actually really good ad for it because it's fast infantry and lone op, and it's synapse, so it can make use of its trickiness.
Yes. So, question for you: is this list lacking vanilla lictors, and why is the Clamavers? What's the Clamavers doing here?
Clebavis is probably here for things like the Deathwatch army, and there's also, of course, the Scions. So you don't want them dropping close to you too.
Sorry, that's what it does. Okay, now makes sense.
Yeah, sorry, the Clebavis is the 12-inch bubble of no deep strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought it was the crappy sniper.
Oh no. No.
He's the guy that brings his DJ equipment.
Yeah, he's the DJ.
Yes,
12-inch bubble.
So many random characters in GSC. It's hard
we
to
have
keep straight.
So many characters, and our newest unit, the Benefactus, is another character. Yeah, which is what we
Yay.
need. But yeah, 12-inch bubble, and he can join the Neophytes if he needs to be a little bit safer.
Yeah.
So
that is big. That is very important as well. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's good. So yeah, the other one was, does this list have enough lone ops?
I think it does, to be honest, because too many lone ups. 3 lone ups, I think, is the number. More than that, you start losing some of the value because you like, depending on how many points they cost, you want other things to be able to do damage and move forward, right?
In teams, I'm like, yo, take 7 lone ops.
In teams, I will
play into shooting armies.
In teams, I will literally bring an 18 lone up list. I will do it.
Just giggle at them. It's rough.
18 lone ups and then deep striking 20 blobs to block them off.
Yeah. No,
Doran says needs 10. Needs 10 lone ups.
Yeah. 10 lone ups and 60 gargoyles, so they can never get in
range.
There you go. Never get within 12 inches of the lone ups. Just like
very reasonable.
Wall.
Very reasonable.
Disgusting. Anyway, that's your Uprising recap or pre-cap, whatever. Something.
Pre-cap.
I'm sick. Leave me alone.
It's the rundown for the weekend.
Yeah, that's what we do. It's our normal show, Adam.
The thing that we do. We're gonna pick some winners.
Yeah. We do have to predict what we think what list is going to be reign supreme, list or player, because that'll define both. Who's picking first?
I'm picking last because I know all the players here and it's unfair, but I'm going to 1, 2, 3 for Paul, 4, 5, 6 for Dustin.
All right. Oh, nice. This is tough though. I think I'm going to go Astra Militarum.
Son of a bitch. Good pick. Dustin, what would you like,
I'm
mate?
going GSC. I can't not go GSC.
Yeah, good man. I know. This sucks. I'm going to pick exactly my man. Astartes. I had to coin flip in my head. So my man Matt Morrisoli is going with Zinch Demons, Scintillating Legion.
You're not even backing Morrisoli?
But then my other mate, Finn Decker, who's the captain of Team New Zealand, is going with Adeptus Astartes. So I'm picking Finn.
Okay.
All right.
Specifically
well, look,
Finn?
all solid choices. Hard to pick.
No. Well, I'm picking Finn because he also has the numbers, whereas Demons didn't have the numbers. Astartes has the numbers, and it has one of my boys.
I see.
So I'm picking that.
You're going more with the numbers. Then.
Also, sending slight jabs towards Morrisoli brings me joy because he's going to watch this, and I'm going to be like, "Ha ha, go Finn."
Sweet. Look, we are coming toward the end of the show, but before we get out of here, we have a segment. Sometimes it's super silly. This is after we've been talking about the hard numbers, the stats, the winners, the losers, the meta, and all that it is. We're going to take a little palate cleanser we call the Fuego Rapido. This is something we do at the end of every show to where we give ourselves a series of topics, sometimes have very little to do with Warhammer, and then a clock. And while the topic comes up on the screen, when the clock starts going, we give the hottest takes for about 2 minutes. And after those 2 minutes expire, we abandon that topic, never to return to it again, unless you subscribe to the Patreon and want us to do it. That's
or if we run out of ideas, which will eventually happen.
Yeah, eventually it will happen.
Well, by the time we'll recycle and people look,
people
I hope people remember that we talked about it before because it'd be such a long time since then.
Yeah.
Oh, but on the Patreon, which I haven't mentioned it, have we mentioned it this year? I don't know, but if you subscribe to tier 2 and above, although every tier is awesome, we do a recap show to where we look back at the events that we covered and talk about the top 10s and the winning list and the standout list, and we also give each other no end of grief about our predictions and how they turned out. And track those points. So consider joining us over there if you have not already. It means a lot. It takes a lot to put this show together, and really appreciate anybody who has done that. In addition to the hassle-free ways to support the show, like commenting, hanging out, giving us some 5-star reviews and those subscriptions, it means a lot. Thank y'all so much.
I like this theme. This theme's fantastic.
So the theme for this week, I don't know if you guys follow it at all, but I am also a massive Nintendo fan. The new Switch will be coming out soon. Has been announced.
Switch 2.
Switch 2. So the next couple Fuegos are probably going to be game related. So the one today is Nintendo versus Sega retro style.
So quickly before we get started, I grew up in a Sega household. We didn't own a single Nintendo product.
I didn't have a Sega. I was only Nintendo.
I owned both, so there we go. We got all edges of the spectrum.
I went all the way up through, Master System, Mega Drive, Saturn, all the way up.
I was down on
Did you get
Sega.
Dreamcast?
No, we got a PlayStation instead of a Dreamcast.
Okay.
We switched.
We'll talk about that
at the PlayStation level.
I had a buddy who had a Dreamcast, and I would go over to his place and beat all the games he couldn't beat.
You were that friend. I get
Nice.
it. Okay. That's cool.
This is just the Fuego right now.
This is the Fuego.
This is it. It's the whole thing. All right. What's the first one?
All right. So we're going on with this one, and I got to pull up the thing again. There we go. First one. Shining Force versus Fire Emblem.
Shining Force. Come on.
Oh, if you're a Sega guy, you got to say that.
Yeah, baby. I mean, I tried some of the. There was like was there 2 Fire Emblem games
early on? Yeah, if we're talking like the retro, there were 2. Yeah.
Where there was like 4 Shining Forces, I think.
Early on, there was only 2.
Okay.
Oh no, wait, third one did come out. Yeah, the third one was I think.
Yeah.
That's the retro.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Rain of Fire, or the Breath of Fire.
That's
all
Nintendo.
Make your case for Fire Emblem. Come on, come at me.
Do you have Fire Emblem in your mind there, or do you even know that one, Paul? Do you play either of these?
Oh, I had to actually. It was blending in my mind with another platform. So not platform, another series. I had to go check. I did not play this one.
So these are both. For those at home, these are both turn-based strategy combat, similar to Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy Tactics specifically.
Tactics.
Yeah,
tactics. It's more chess-like than activate.
That's what I was. I think thinking of when.
Yeah. So you would move your dudes around and you'd get into fight. Yeah. Anyway,
it was really like it's fantastic genre. Still going on.
I'm not 100% on how good the storyline from Fire Emblem was, but the storyline in Shining Force was legit. Like, it was kind of Final Fantasy-like, and like there was the same kind of tropes that would always happen. Like there was always that big betrayal.
Yeah,
like it's always that big betrayal. The guy that's essentially you thought you trusted and stuff like that would always end up being the bad guy or the second big bad guy, and so a bit tropey. What did Fire Emblem have?
The Fire Emblem was still a bit tropey with its storylines. Like I think it. Maybe not the big betrayal, but it was more of the mystery. Like, oh, who are you? Like, let's find out who you are. Oh, you're actually this important person. Who knew this entire time? The player is actually very important to the storyline. That kind of stuff. In terms of like actual combat and stuff, I actually think Shining Force is better than the early Fire Emblem. Early Fire Emblems. Yes. Fire Emblem, when it started getting into the generational thing, though, completely overshadowed Shining Force because that was
Sega one. Nintendo.
Did it go? We don't have the clock up, so I don't know how far we can go with
It's just Fuego. We ended Fuego.
But it's like, did it go deep into the? Because I know there was like a Game Boy, and then and there were different things. Was it a continuation or
Fire Emblem is still going? Like they just released the game last year. The last one that they released was not very good. The one before that was phenomenal. If you ever want to play a Fire Emblem game recently, you play Three Houses. That game is it's so good. That is so good. The newest one, Engage. The story. If you want to talk about a bad story, that's terrible. That one was so bad. But Three Houses. Oh my god, that's a great game. Play that one for sure.
2018 was the last Shining Force. They're still going.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
Wild.
I haven't played the newest one. No, I got a game to play. All right, good. I'm happy. I'm excited. We're learning stuff now on this Fuego. I like this because I love Shining Force. All right, next one. Streets of Rage versus Final Fight. See, I like that Adam keeps having to take a breath with these ones because he's not. I am 100% on this one. I know which one. There's no competition for me on this one.
I mean, I got to say. Why isn't Double Dragon there instead of Streets of Rage?
Because Double Dragon was on both of them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Snap. Because Double Dragon is better than both of these. But Streets of Rage is better than Final Fight.
Yeah,
Suck it.
There it is. Yeah, 100%.
100%.
100%. Streets of Rage was so good. Love that game.
That was when you're actually fighting like gang members and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
like you're going
then-
through an actual like alleyways and
Was it?
It was
the
an
first
old
time?
classic beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's a side scroller beat 'em up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you pick up pipes and you bottles. You're just shivving people with a bottle, just like as a 6-year-old in an arcade, just like stab him, good, stab him. Because it'd be me and my brother at the arcade, and we'd be sitting there for like an hour or two. We'd go play Raiden, we'd go play Metal Slug, we'd go play and we'd play Streets of Rage, and we'd sit there and we'd be shivving thugs with bottles in a dark alleyway. Also, was this the first game where they would just change the bandana's colors to denote the baddie being stronger?
Or they change their colors so they get the bandanas
Yeah.
or just their clothing. And they all have
Like-
names for some reason on their belt
Only
bars,
so many
so you know
bits.
exactly who you're beating up.
only
Yeah.
so many bits in that system. That's
It's the same. It's exactly the same skin, but he's got a purple hat,
Yeah.
so he has twice the HP. You know,
Adam, did you know that there's a Streets of Rage 4 like just came out not too long ago?
outrageous.
It-
All right, we should do a play party.
It is
was
We
it
should do a play
40,
party.
so
40
good.
years later?
It is.
Yeah, they get
And
to-
they made it
they just
retro
got to
style.
level 4.
It's so good. It's
Every
so good.
decade?
One a
When did
decade.
this thing
That's
come
it.
out?
Yeah, that's
No
all I
more,
need.
no
That's
less.
all I need. That's all I need. They don't need more than that. All right, Sega 2
Fuego.
right now. That's
2-0
I did
for
not
Sega.
expect Sega to be winning this, but here we go. All right, next one.
That's because you haven't gone to the cube yet.
Contra Hardcore versus Contra 3: The Alien Wars.
I have no idea what these are.
You don't play
I did-
Contra? You guys don't play
I
Contra?
played. I played. Look, get the 30 lives in Contra. Yeah,
So
like on the.
Contra Hardcore was the first Contra that ever introduced the character selection. So you actually had 4 different characters you could choose from. They had their own weapons that you get instead of picking up random ones. You'd pick up like A, B, C, D, and it would be whatever weapon that character had. And there's also like branching stories. So you beat a boss, you're like, okay, do you want to go here to fight these guys, or do you want to go here to fight these guys? And the story changed based on where you went. First time it's ever done that one. Contra 3 for Super Nintendo was just like arguably the most well-designed and playable Contra game that they've made. The ones with the Nintendo, fantastic. This one took that to the next level, even better. So to me, it's actually a hard choice because I'm a huge Contra fan. I love Contra.
I mean, I just googled them looking at the images. It looks like Duke Nukem side scroller.
Yeah,
That's,
for sure.
that's exactly what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
Oh, these are still side scrollers. I did not play this Contra 1 all day long ago. That was.
Yeah, same idea with that one too. I mean, they just kept going too. They keep making Contra games. They're still going. These are all games that they still make though. They're still successful.
Wild.
I mean, look, the designers love a franchise. A sequel gets more like it gets easier past than a new property.
It's true.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, like they don't make new property anymore. It's just what can we rehash to make money off of?
A
But
known quantity.
known quantity.
Not to bring us down. It is business, but it's like if they get a good game.
So for this one, Contra Hardcore was a better story, and I love the fact that you can go to different like levels,
So,
different branching stories. Contra 3 was just gameplay was perfect, like absolutely perfect.
So which one wins, Nintendo or Sega?
I think Nintendo wins in this one. That's
All right, 2-1.
a hard one.
Is that Contra 3? Is that
That's
what it
Contra
is?
3, yeah.
I've got to go back to Streets of Rage because like I remember playing the crap out of that game, but I must have been plugging in quarters because I didn't
Yeah,
have it.
maybe.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
I inadvertently had to vote for Sega on that last one.
It's okay, Sega already won, so we're good to go on that one. There was. All right, Castlevania Bloodlines versus Castlevania 4.
Ooh. I love me some Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
Which one was Bloodlines?
Bloodlines was one again where you actually had the choice between 2 characters, one with the lance and one with the whip against. Though it was really colorful,
Yeah.
kind of awkward
okay.
in its controls, though. It was kind of awkward gameplay.
When did Castlevania 4 come out?
Oh, jeez,
I'll look it up.
1996. I'm gonna guess.
Castlevania 4. Da-da-da-da. So, straight off the bat, I'm going to go Castlevania 4. 1991.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's
Dang.
what I'm. I'm thinking. Castlevania 4 is like
Yeah. It's the one I played. I didn't play the other one.
Bloodlines was not as good as 4, I don't think. It was still good.
Yeah.
But 4 was it was great control. And Super Nintendo had really good controls in their games.
I didn't so much care for Castlevania 2 as much. I thought it was a little too simple. Especially
Simon's
coming off the
Quest?
back of, how cool is Castlevania
that one was a very
was.
unpopular one, for sure.
I mean, I still enjoyed it, but like, I thought, whatever. But the next ones were better, and I think Castlevania 4 takes it.
Well, I think they were both on both platforms.
Castlevania, I thought was
Castlevania 4
only.
was only on Super Nintendo.
Castlevania 4 was
Bloodlines
100%.
was on both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Nintendo winning another one.
Oh, yeah,
2-2.
for sure.
Let's go.
All right.
I did not. This another Super Nintendo. I actually had to borrow that one, I think, as well from a buddy of mine.
Yeah, well, I played Castlevania 4 at my mate's place. Like after playing like an hour of Duck Hunt. So I remember correctly.
Yeah. 4 was good. 4 was really good. All right. Next up, Mario versus Sonic.
Sonic.
Not a chance.
Mario is utterly incompetent and also a murderer. He's just killing stuff constantly. He's a butcher. He's a monster. He's a psychopath. And he can't get the job done. How can you back this man against a guy who literally saves baby animals? That's the whole shtick of the thing.
Mario just sometimes puts on a panda outfit.
How could you beat that?
So he's a furry as well. All right. Cool. You're doing well. Dig up. Why does he kill so many turtles? Does anybody know?
I mean, we were just touting how good Streets of Rage is, and you're like shanking people, but
Hey, look, they had it coming.
So did Goombas. How dare they walk in the way of Mario? What's wrong?
Yeah, exactly right. How dare they just like walk back and forward on a small platform, like,
It's like
where you want it?
I think Mario is a clear winner. We can all agree on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No,
Mario, there's no competition
so
here.
much. Oh.
We're only debating which is the best Mario, like which
So-
outfit or the best.
Tanuki.
All right. If it's just Mario and just Sonic, no power-ups, no nothing, Sonic hands down. He's faster, has more abilities, does more interesting stuff. Mario
they're
literally
fighting
is a
now.
tiny little idiot who just jumps. That's it. That's all he can do.
He does more interesting stuff. He just goes forward and sometimes in a little loop.
Yeah, no, but
What's more
you
interesting?
power up, you press down, and you.
That's only the
How much
second
cooler
one.
is that than everything Mario can do?
Mario
fire
can fly
at your
and he can
face.
shoot
Like
fire.
I said, no power
He
ups.
can turn into a
No
statue.
power-ups.
No
He just
power-ups,
jumps on Sonic's head.
killer. He just
So,
jumps.
he didn't
Just
need any
jumps up and
power-ups.
down.
Jumps a lot higher than Sonic does.
Does he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he does.
I don't think so.
Anyway, this is bringing up all my, because I would have this argument at school all the time about how much Mario sucks. Why is he a plumber? Nothing about this story makes sense. Mario is an acid trip and a half. None of it's nonsensical garbage. When you play as Sonic, you are trying to save wildlife, baby animals that have been captured by an evil scientist. This is a tale as old as time, and it is vastly superior.
As many movies have told us, true
Okay.
love.
But Princess doesn't want him.
True love. I don't know if that's true.
Surely, after all this effort, she would be like, "Fine, I'll be with him." No. She's turned his. She
Because Bowser keeps moving him to another castle.
How does she have so many castles? Anyway, one last thing I'll say, and this is undisputable. You cannot even disagree.
Wow! I got to hear this.
Well, technically, we're out of time.
Every single Sonic game's soundtrack is better than any Mario game soundtrack.
I don't know. I don't want to get copyright strike. That's as much as that's the limit.
This is the hill I will die on. Any single Sonic soundtracks game
Sing
soundtrack
it for
is
us.
better than every
Got
Mario
one?
soundtrack. Every single one.
Sing it for us.
Don't do it. We'll get copyrighted if you put it on.
Yeah, that Eggman theme, I still play. So good. So good. Anyway, you got your money's worth out of me on that one, Dustin.
Wow, that was good. That was good. I appreciated that. All right, normally that's the last one, but we actually have a bonus one because we have to. Super Nintendo versus Sega Genesis.
Super Nintendo has some great games.
Yeah. So does Genesis, though. I could name at least 3 Sega Genesis games you probably never heard of that are some of my favorite games of all time.
All right, do it. Name. Let's go. Let's judge these by the top 3 games we think each platform had.
Top 3. Okay, well, if you don't know them, it's not going to help because for me, they're
Exactly right, Dustin, you hipster.
I was going to name Sega Genesis games.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you're still a Genesis.
Okay. All right.
I could probably solve this Super Mario Kart.
Wow. I mean,
The first Mario Kart, right?
Oh yeah, that is the first Mario Kart. Yeah. See, you even got Adam on that one. Let's just like
That's
mic drop.
Yep.
Paul
Yeah,
just mic drop right there.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say that there was a reason my next platform, my next console after the Genesis was a PlayStation, because the Genesis was a little bit of a letdown.
Link to the Past.
Sorry?
Zelda: Link to the Past.
Yep.
Arguably one of, if not the best Zelda game out there.
It's only Ocarina of Time compares, and even then, I think
I still
Ocarina is
think
a little overrated.
Yeah, I think Link to the Past is better.
I mean, so Genesis had Sonic 2, had Castlevania, Toe Jam and Earl.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Sonic Hedgehog 3. Yeah, Sonic Hedgehog 3 was pretty freaking good. Sonic and Knuckles was pretty freaking good. I keep thinking of these as all being on the Master System, but nah, they're on Genesis. Never mind. I take it back.
I'll go a deep cut if you'd like.
Okay.
Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Here, Adam, if you were Genesis guy, I'm gonna try 2 of these games. I want to see if you've heard of them then, because they're some of my favorite.
Names of Queen songs and a cool video game. So I just want to put that in.
Wow. That's Gunstar Heroes. Play it. Cyborg Justice. One of the greatest games. Oh, so you build your own cyborg. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but you're like ripping off the arms of cyborgs, putting on the arm yourself if you like their arm better because they have special weapons stuff. Oh,
that's pretty cool.
So
okay, cool.
Oh, in the chat, are you saying Golden Eye? Or Golden Axe may be a game too, but
Golden Axe.
Golden Axe was Sega Genesis. That was fantastic too.
That's such a good game.
That's a good one.
I would like to ask, Battletoads, was that on Super Nintendo?
Had to have been. I'm pretty sure I played it.
And Three Dwarfs.
You mean Lost Vikings?
Lost Vikings. That's it.
That was Sega Genesis specifically.
That was Sega Genesis.
That was
okay.
What for? Fun fact. That's one of
Lost
the
Vikings
few.
Was
that's one of the few Blizzard console games. One of 2.
Correct.
That one and Rock and Roll Racing. And Lost Vikings.
Oh, Rock and Roll Racing! Hell yeah! Let's go. Oh, I freaking love Rock and Roll Racing, man.
That was a great game too.
So good. Actually, yeah. To hell with Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Oh.
I completely forgot which one it was. I thought in my mind, Sega Saturn is where the
the Saturn. No, that's it died.
Saturn
there.
sucked.
It died.
And
there.
I jumped ship to
PlayStation
after the Saturn.
Saturn
but,
was bad.
no, Sega Genesis. Mwah,
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people want to play these on emulators too, Dorian, and I highly recommend if you can play a lot of these games. They're fantastic.
So what was that, Paul?
I said it's not beating Super Nintendo, but it was a fine system.
I don't know if we have a clear winner on this one. Adam was Super Nintendo, and then he kind of flipped.
No, because in my head it was Sega Saturn. But so Paul and I are 1 for 1. Dustin, you're the split vote.
But I like both of them. If I had
right now it's 2-2. So this is
great.
The
so it's just completely.
It's all on you.
It's all on.
Hey,
me.
you wrote this Fuego. I think it's correct.
Well,
Super Metroid, Donkey Kong Country. I'm looking at. I just had to pull up the bill.
Those, and then most of the Final Fantasies that are good.
Echo the Dolphin.
Okay, you just ruined it. Like
Star Fox.
It was funny.
Star Fox. Yeah,
I'd forgotten about Star Fox.
There's
do a barrel roll,
dude. Earthworm freaking Jim. Have you guys played the Earthworm Jim game?
Yeah, it's a good. That's good.
Oh, it's so good.
So again, for me, like the first 2 games that we mentioned are why it's Super Nintendo for me. Link to the Past, Super Mario Kart. I've spent too many hours in those games, and this wasn't mentioned, but I'm gonna mention now. Chrono Trigger.
Mortal Kombat 3.
That was on both.
Yeah, I think that's a both thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Still, it's good.
So, all right. Last but not least, we have the meme theme of this week, which is the guy looking at the 2 buttons, sweating which one he's going to press.
Paint Eldari or paint Imperial Astro Military.
Nice. Yeah, that's perfect right now.
It's play Blood Angels units or play +1 to win Oath.
Well, man, you're never gonna let that one go, are you?
Nah, that pisses me off. I want that loophole closed ASAP. It's also Calgar and Gilliman. Calgar or Gilliman.
Okay.
You don't take both?
Why not both?
A lot of this can't afford to have both.
This is,
I want it.
Wow, I had one, and then it just completely flew away. Oh, shooting or doing an action.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm,
Because sometimes you just want to kill something.
that's right.
The heck with those 2 points. I just want to kill that thing. I'm within 12 inches of that lone up. I need to kill that lone up.
It's like you're in my head right now. I just want to charge.
I'm just happy this wasn't the meme I thought it might have been, with a certain photo of me circulating.
Don't worry, that's next week.
Oh shit!
I wanted to.
It's Nerf Drakari again, or let Skari win. Let Skari be, or Nerf Drakari one more time.
Nerf Skari, Nerf Drakari. Those are the 2 buttons
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, same thing. Jeez. Is it well known how many detachments Eldar is getting in their codex yet? I think it is, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, never mind.
I try not to speculate
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
ahead of the recognized dates.
Release.
Yeah, ahead of the releases.
Ooh.
Eat lunch or review opponent's list for next round.
Yeah. This was me on Saturday morning when I woke up sick as a dog, being like, get everyone sick and do your job, or stay in bed and let the stream crumble.
And then we streamed for 11 hours.
Yeah, and that sweat was sweat because I had a fever, not because I'm under pressure. It's like both options, neither good. Fuego.
That's Fuego. And that's
No,
it.
that is our show this week. It is a pleasure being back to the normal routine. Normal-ish. We'll be back to looking completely future to the future, and then abandoning our Fuego topics at the end, like we've established next week. Seriously, a pleasure talking with y'all, hanging out. Thanks to everybody in chat. Thank y'all to everybody who's watching after the fact. Hit those 5-star reviews. Make sure you come back next week. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see y'all soon, everybody. Have a good night.
See you next time.
Boy.